everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, excellent. So, Crane, I didn't get my little thing. There you go. Crane, origami. That's what we do. So, small businesses, as Mrs. Barnett was saying, do you know how many there are? Like, who thinks in the U.S. there's 1 million small businesses? Is that many? More? Less? How many small businesses? More? Like 10 million. Like 10 million? 28 million. Of them, 25 million have 5 or fewer employees. It is the primary dominant force of small business and, again, local community engines that keep things alive and moving. But a lot of federal studies over the past 20 years show that only about half of those small businesses, kind of regardless of the number of employees, only half are still alive at the 5-year mark. When you get to 10 years, only 1 in 10 of them is still alive. They could have the best product, the best cake, the most amazing cleaning products, the most incredible IT solution, the best tax advice, but they're not around. So the purpose for us was thinking about a different way the small business can be conceptualized and saying, what do we need to do on the front end to help more folks make it to that 10-year birthday? So with that in mind, we knew we had to start off with what about the need for the underlying picture? What about the image of the finances? What about personal stuff? What about all the other things besides your business? When you think of most business surveys, those you may have taken, those you've seen somewhere, they just ask about the business itself. They don't ask you about your life around the business. They don't ask you if your kid got sick, if you got somebody getting ready to graduate, if you had your spouse just laid off from a workplace injury, that income isn't coming in. They didn't ask if your oven's broke, so you got to work on somebody else's oven to get your food products out. They didn't ask that. We couldn't ask all of those questions like we'd like to in this study, but we have some eyes on some things for the future. The micro-enterprise emphasis, as referenced by Mrs. Barnett, was about a half and half from increased CDC participants and other folks based in Central Ohio. We verified zip codes to ensure that we didn't throw in some folks who just happen to get the link but are working and living in St. Louis. We want to make sure we focus just on our folks. Beyond the pull between our companies, our agencies, beyond the synergy that exists, again, minority-owned small business in Central Ohio, beyond that, we wanted to explore what could happen if we took a look at the things they saw 5 years ago in their sustainability study, and we added some of those other pieces to the puzzle. So, what we did. The design was different than what we normally do. We have a lot of tools on the shelf, and we want to be able to take those tools and leverage them, implement them. We know how they fall. We know how to compare that against other groups and clusters. They've been run a lot of times, so they're kind of tried and true. But we did something different, and we collaborated. We trusted increases CDC's perception of their audience. We trusted their understanding of where people's time really was going and how much time they would have to sit down and do this. We ended up negotiating ranges for things like credit scores and ranges for things like adjusted gross income and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so that we wouldn't have folks drop off the survey. We wanted to do what we could to promote as much information coming in complete surveys as possible. The big benchmarks, told you about the 5-year and the 10-year. At 1 year, 4 in 5 small businesses makes it across that first finish line. 4 in 5. That's the first blue. This laser pointer, there you go. Can anybody even see that red? I can't even see it. The next blue is the 2-year mark, which is saying 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 make it to 2 years, and then again, we know there's kind of still this continuous decline that happens over the following years. Well, at 1 year, increased CDC businesses based on our responses had 100% survival rate. That was awesome. Support means something. Someone teaching you some of those financial basics, someone supporting you in scope, scalability, especially the newer businesses, who have had the opportunity to go through the pitch process, business plan, presentation process, did all right, still hung on. Central Ohio, the other folks who jumped into that group, who are not increased CDC, also had a 100% survival rate. Now, we know that chances are there were some folks who no longer had a business email address, so the knowledge we had of that and how to get a hold of them bounced back. There's a chance that we had some folks who just had a real sore spot, real salty about the business shutting down. And I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it. Leave me alone with that. Go on somewhere, please. So that situation gave us, about a plus or minus 10%. Of course, we're not going to add over the 100% because you can only have 100%. So, take that with a grain of salt of about 10% for the Brown and Fuchsia numbers. The survival rate for businesses at 2 years, 98% for increased CDC, 99%, there was less than a 0.5% difference, and it just fell as we had folks come in. So we had to say, okay, well, wait, we know we got to get this little plus or minus 10% in here, but what else could be impacting this? We know that a lot of the folks who got the survey came through a business incubator or business accelerator. So again, keep that grain of salt in mind and don't want to generalize too far. This shows there's just a great value to business accelerators and business incubators. We asked some different questions about the challenges people had. Some different questions. So the orange is what was asked in the 5-year ago study. The big thing then, down here at the bottom, was marketing. That was a big deal. What was different about the world as we know it 5 years ago? Social media, making money. There you go, presidents. I don't miss Obama. Yes, I do. Speaking of the orange mess at the bottom, speaking of the orange mess at 34, that was a significant challenge to folks. But a lot of things changed. Something that, again, I didn't want to overwhelm everybody with a whole bunch of charts. This is all included in the full report, which is soon to be on the Increased CDC site, and is presently on the Crane R&D site. We have a link on the last page. Things totally flipped. So when we asked somebody about their first year in business, what their primary thing that they did to let people know they were out there, it was word of mouth, right? Word of mouth, I'm here. I don't have a site yet. I don't even have an established phone number you can call. You can't text to get an automated response. You don't have QR codes to go somewhere. There's no way you can get a hold of them. Just call me, we'll make it happen. But when we asked about last year, we ran a comparative analysis. Folks were 4 times more likely to use their business website than they were in the first year. Folks were about half as likely to use word of mouth as they were the first year. Because what happens as your business grows, you don't have time to talk to everybody individually. Check out my website, right? Call our line out. Read the back of this card. Check this flyer. Get this marketing collateral. So as we looked at, okay, well, what else changed? Financial management changed a lot. Financial management also lines up with this, the third bar, lack of stabilization capital, lines up there because together, that's just under 50% of everybody's problems that they reported were financial in some way. This is about 50%. Whereas before, that was only 26%. So the intensity of people's money issues almost doubled in the past 5 years. And that is not just for the businesses who were around 5 years ago and around today. That's saying for everybody who was in the pot then, and for everybody who was in the pot now, that's more of a concern. A few things have changed in Ohio from regulation perspectives. A few things have become more expensive for certain folks. The fuel costs have escalated, which impacts a lot of things. As at event spaces, there's a different ability for folks to get out of community festivals and events as the city has changed their permitting processes, and so on and so forth. A lot of folks, as you may have done, a lot of folks get it. You recognize things have changed. So now, all these beautiful cakes and pies that I made, I can't get rid of them. Maybe I put them on my Facebook and someone will tell me they want me to meet them up. But the reality is, most of those are just gonna go right. So there's a profit loss in product cost. So jumping into how people fix that, it comes with a time investment. The energy that they put into their business. So if you just think about the blue, this was how much time people spent on the job for somebody else and how much time they spent working for themselves. So far left, no, about 40% of people worked a part-time job for themselves and then worked a full-time job for somebody else. I'm just gonna do this on the side. It's gonna be a little something. It's gonna do certain things I needed to do. It's gonna take care of this. It's gonna offset that cost. It's gonna let me get my family savings built back up, whatever happened. But the next category, these folks said, hey, I'm gonna treat it like I got a full-time job and I'm gonna work a full-time job. Jumping over to this third section, you have folks tell you the smallest percent of people at that time, the smallest percent of people worked a part-time job for themselves, and that was it. I'm just doing my job, but I'm not giving it more than 34 hours a week. I'm just doing my job for myself, but it's not getting more than 34 hours a week. The next category, again, slightly larger. It was our biggest group by a little bit. The folks who worked it like a full-time job working for themselves. Now, what you'll notice is the change in the orange. It goes down on the two left sections and up over here. So essentially, people, I don't know, there you go. You with me on this one? All right, y'all got it? So on this one right here, it almost quadrupled the number of people who left working for somebody else and started working for themselves just part-time. Over here, it went up even further to 45%, to the by far dominant number of people represented in our micro-enterprise group work for themselves full-time. So looking at that change, you may notice something, that this one, this group of folks who work full-time for themselves and work another job, and I'm only gonna work for myself, but I'm gonna work a little bit less than full-time, flipped. It's the complete opposite. So, okay, well, what about hiring? How did you grow? How did you afford to do that? How could you meet the demand of whatever your business, product, service is? Well, that's this little yellow highlighted number. Those are the folks who added employees since year one. And you notice that the lower numbers didn't really add a whole lot, but you have, compared to the people who worked part-time and that was all they did, I'm gonna get a little employee, you know, they're gonna help me out, you know, Mercedes gonna do this, Jim gonna do that. That happened 9% of the time. The folks who ended up moving and taking that same amount of time that they were spending for somebody else and only spending it on themselves, hired at 3 times the rate of those folks. The folks who were in this category said, I'm just gonna go full-time and do my thing. Those folks, probably because they had some more financial resources, went ahead and hired at 4 times the rate of this other group. Pretty amazing. So job creation is a really essential part of entrepreneurship as we think about scaling. Most folks heard that word, right? There's 3 scales. There's the big scale, which folks think of, I'm gonna do this thing that I do everywhere else. Maybe I'm gonna franchise it, maybe I'm gonna get some people who are gonna help me out, and we're gonna get on the road. I'm gonna do what I do a whole lot more often somewhere else. That's the big scale people think of, but there's 2 scales that happen before that. And one scale is, I need to move from working for somebody to working for myself. I need to move from working for somebody part-time to working to myself full-time. So they're kind of 2 little levels, kind of like stretching a rubber band before you let it off and the business goes off and does amazing, great things all over the place. That rubber band that you got to stretch to make that happen breaks for a lot of people because there's not enough money. Breaks for a lot of people because there's not enough resources. So here's why I bring that up. To not get too mad, because there's a whole lot of math and I love the math. To not get too crazy. The folks on the far left identified that their credit was bad, 600 or less. The folks over here, there you go, second one over, 750 plus, right? Got some serious credit. But the interesting thing was, this blue bar is the amount of financial challenges that the average person in that credit group had. And there's a significant difference between 1.6, I got about 1.6 things that are problems for me that have to do with money. We broke down all the different things that they are, you see that in the report, and how those things make up that piece of the pie for that problem. But people who have bad credit, 1.6 problems. People who have excellent credit, 1.1 problems. Well, how come it doesn't stay closer? Why is it that somebody that's got good credit has half the problems of somebody that has excellent credit related to finance? Why is that? How is it that these folks still have concern? You got good credit. What are you worried about? The world should be yours. You should be able to do whatever you need to do, right? You should be okay. 750.
Some days.
Business owner, right? Business owner 750. You should be able to do some things. Call up U.S. Bank. I want to do this. Let's make it happen. That's the submit the application online and, you know, get the line of credit active the next day. 750, you can do some things. Here's the problem. We believe that that number is higher. It went back up for the high credit group because they know they have something to lose. And so because they know they have something to lose, they've invested in their credit to get to that point, and some of these other groups have not. So you see that there's a distribution where the folks who have the excellent credit of the types of money problems that they have look a little bit different than the types of money problems that someone in the fair or bad situation has. So then we just take a look at that purple, right? Of all the financial challenges, you see that of all the problems I've got, we already told you about 1.1, but of all the problems I've got, this much of it is financial. It's 37% for the excellent group, but only 28% for the good group, and only 32% for the fair group. Interesting thing, right? Why is it that it's not higher? It's in the 50s for the bad and the poor group. I can't afford credit. I can't access credit. I don't have what I need to take care of things in case it rains me out at the fair, in case I can't get a Juneteenth, in case I can't make this relationship I have with this food truck market that's coming up. I need to have something, because if I don't, my people are going to leave. I need to be able to give them something. So that concern is a higher concern for the folks with that purple. That's what that purple means. But in terms of the breakdown, you see that about half of all entrepreneurs have a credit score below 649. That was pretty surprising to me. Half of them got a score below 649. And there's certain experiences that come with where that score is. It was a bold question. I was grateful to the people who chose to answer that question. Again, it was anonymous, but it's still a bold question. It gave us some great insights and layers. So, tell you real quick about what we did with that. So, we create models. That's what we do. We figure out how to make little Google Assistant type things that you can just introduce to different things in your life, and they figure out how to make them work. RAGI is one of those indexes. It's the Relative Adjusted Growth Index for 1 year in business. RAGI will go and sniff out what's going on. The more things we introduce RAGI to, the easier it is to see how much these things impact someone's real world money. RAGI is based off of about 9 different numbers. One is the money you had coming in, the money you had going out, household level, what that looks like, how many years you've been in business, credit range, and a few other little things that go in there too. And so we say, hey, look, that gives one number. And that's essentially how healthy a business is. It's one number. Now, as we introduce it to different things in people's lives, that may be years of marriage plus living in the same place, could be number of kids under 18, which is again something we did take a look at, or it could be what happens when you get an attitude. Broken down in the numbers. When you get an attitude about something, what happens? When you get a setback, what do? RAGI is going to be a pretty important tool for micro-entrepreneurship moving forward. This one, again, represents us for 1 year in business. Well, we're also thinking about a RAGI for pre-business, for the folks who are still in the business planning phase, still thinking about what they want to do, what they need. So we talked about scale a little bit earlier, right? To take all the crazy out of this is the number on the bottom, how much it took you to start up. This is part of it. Speaking out. How much it took to start up. The red number are the businesses who are in the RAGI phase of broken wing. They're in a negative cash flow situation. It costs more to be in business than you're making, right? Growing feathers is the yellow. No, you're just covering your costs. You're not losing, but you're also not improving your adjusted household income. It's helping with some things, but it's kind of like a hobby. It's a hobby that's paying for itself. Now over here, which appears to be black on this page, right, was dark green, but that's okay. Every computer is different with PowerPoint, right? So this is a healthy business and has a number that says, look, from here to here, you're doing all right. You're making something. You are improving your household's ability to take care of whatever comes up. So when you look at the numbers on top, that's just how many businesses fell in that group, based on what it took them to get going. The healthiest businesses cost $2,500 or less to start out. Isn't that interesting? Not the big, oh, I need 50,000, because if I get 50,000, I'm gonna be all right. Now, why could that be, right? Because, you know, you need more money, you get more, you can do more, you can make more, but not if you don't have the underlying financial skill set to know what to do with that new 50,000. And so there's an assumption that personal credit and business know-how, passion, excitement for the work you do, and the products and services that you offer line up, and they don't. And this is pretty much conclusively proven that they don't line up, that there are different skills, and that if we want entrepreneurs to succeed and be in that 10-year milestone group, we've got to do some different things with the financial structures. So, into the credit score. Here's what RAGI looks like. This is just an example. We ain't put anybody through this, but the numbers are real. If someone comes in the door with a 600 credit score, and we do an intervention on personal credit, business finance, whatever, but a very specific thing is based around where they're needing some extra backup and some support at. Not just the general one-size-fits-all, but targeted to what they need. For every 1 point that the credit score goes up, RAGI goes up 0.01. So at the end of the day, if we can get somebody's RAGI score up, we can get their personal credit up. We can get somebody's personal credit up, we can get their RAGI score up. And we can improve their fluency with finances, and we can improve their ability to deliver financial change to their lives, their families' lives, their homes. So bringing up the RAGI score has some pretty interesting implications. That's just the first thing we introduce RAGI to. We can introduce RAGI to a whole bunch of other things and figure out how and where and what. And it's kind of this external thing that doesn't have any feelings, is over here hanging out, that's able to identify how much change was actually made by different interventions that we do. So if one program specializes in construction-based things, but they want to try to take on someone who's a home chef, maybe the RAGI score will help us figure out we all have lanes. And that there's lanes for lenders, and that there's lanes for specific incubators and development centers, so that we can start filtering and funneling folks to where they're going to be most successful and have the highest likelihood of being involved in that 10-year birthday celebration for the business. So that's kind of the big picture for what's there. There's a 16-page report available on, again, both sites. We're up here. We've got cards. A couple of Crane team members are here, so we're happy to answer any questions. We don't want to take up too much time. You know, PowerPoint stuff tends to put people to sleep, especially when you're talking numbers. So, any questions popping up? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So my question is, based on the information that you've gathered, what are the next steps in helping entrepreneurs knowing this information?
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
Excellent.
I have a tendency to jump.
Absolutely. Awesome. It's the way forward. It's the airport. So that's perfectly appropriate.
Yes, you mentioned like the entrepreneurs had an average of like 1.6 financial challenges or 1 point whatever. What constitutes a financial challenge? Was there like a set base point, or was it self-identified by them?
Self-identified. We gave them about 12 options and said, hey, rank these. So by asking them to rank those challenges, we were able to, again, figure out, all right, this one weighs a little bit more than this one does. So that goes into part of how Raji thinks. But at the same time, we also have the ability, because we asked them pretty much three questions of the same style, we're able to get kind of a magnitude effect to see how much these things show up in people's lives. So though we had 119 respondents, we ended up with about 276 challenges that they told us about. So we started saying, hey, we know that Raji wants to get into the weeds. What can we do to support the picture of where folks are and where those challenges are and how they break down? For sure. Ma'am in the corner?
I had missed what the Reggie soaring was. My daughter asked me a question. I just missed that. What that one was.
No problem. So I'll go back for the folks putting it in. So Broken Wing essentially is negative cash flow. You owe money to go to work. Growing Feathers, you're going to work, but what are you getting out of it in terms of money? And Soaring is you are in a range where your life is actually impacted financially by the entrepreneurial work you're doing. So I have a family member who makes an incredible apple crumble. It's probably why I'm thinking about pies, pastries, and the cakes right now. But we actually did a deep dive walkthrough just for him, right? He was thinking about how he wanted to finally go into business for himself. Worked for everyone else for a long time, master chocolatier, blah, 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 blah. Did all these things for a long time for everybody else. Well, what if I do it myself? So we took this inventory of the tools and the resources that he had. And what we found out after walking through how much gas it took to start up the stove, all the way to how much fuel it took to get to the locations that he was going to spend this amount of time discussing franchising relationships and consignment relationships with, right? Everything you can think of. It was going to cost him about $9 to make one of these apple crumbles. And we're like, all right, that's okay. You know, the plan right now is good enough. You can get $15 for it. But if you're getting $15 wholesale and they need to slice it up and do what they need to do, what happens until you get that money? If it takes them a couple of days, if it takes them a week, you now need to, unless you change your strategy, get back in the car, spend that gas, and go back and start checking to see what's there. Is that the way you want to do it, or do you want to structure it differently? So as we started talking about what it meant for him to be pretty much in what we now know to be the Raji Soaring category, he was going to have to make so many apple crumbles, and he was going to not have the capacity to do it there, right? He was using his family's oven, and it just so happened to be a Dutch oven, so we get about 4 in at a time, but they didn't all cook evenly, right? Because now the cook time is different because you got more stuff in here so the heat can't move around, so it's burning up this side and not this side. So we had a lot more product waste. So we said, okay, well look, what industrial ovens can you get access to? What relationships can you make with the local workforce development school? What programs can you figure out for this, for that, for the third, for some other small business trying to do it, and get a little short-term lease arrangement, come in a day a week? How do those things work? So as we discussed that and figured it out, we helped him get from, again, what we now know to be broken wings, where he was wasting money to produce this product, to, all right, we've worked through a very specific plan for you. And this specific plan for you now has you in the soaring category, where we figured out how to get his cost from $9 down to $3. And we figured out how we could change his production to a higher amount. You got more cakes and pies available for the people. So things like RAGI, and there's other indexes and other models out there. This one is just designed to think about the real world micro enterprise, not capitalization strategy and what it's going to be worth in 10 years. How long you've been around, how much are you moving? Are you moving good steps every year that you've been around, on average? Knowing people got good years and bad years. On average, how's it really going?
So we have to move
Can
forward
I
with
ask
the
one more
program.
question real quick? Please. I know, Deanna knows me. So when I look at, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep talking. 2,500, you've got 49 numbers in category 1. Is that correct?
Mhm.
And 18 of them are making money? Am I reading your numbers correctly?
So 10 of them are covering cost and making a tiny bit of money.
Right. But of 49, 18% are making money.
Not 18%, 18 to 49. So
18
it's closer
of
to like,
49.
40-ish
So
percent.
36%.
Yep.
Okay, I like numbers too. I just want to make sure I
Marvelous.
understood your numbers.
Yep, that are making money when they start.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry, Deanna.
Absolutely.
One more question.
Are you
Yes.
suggesting that even those that got 15, 25,000, 45,000, none of them are soaring?
None of them are soaring based on RAGI.
Out of the 74 businesses. Yeah.
Right, out of the 74 that, gave us the financial question responses that we needed. Over here in the 45,000, there's a few folks doing it. But then again, we look at bias, and the chances are, if you could qualify for a $45,000 loan, you may have had some other backup or some other collateral, some other skin in the game. We couldn't get as into the weeds as we wanted to. The same way as that RAGI gets even smarter when we have an actual credit score and not a range. So we had to take kind of the middle of the range. 600 to 649, you score 625. So the idea is that when you tell somebody who, I want to start this, I've been doing this, I'm ready, put me in the game, coach, and you say, yep, $50,000 for this loan, you may not need that to actually get going. And so the scope and the scale can't just be made off of, pushing a couple buttons, checking a couple boxes, that there's probably more things that need to be included in the analysis.
All right. Thank you so much. He'll be around for more questions.
You bet. Thanks, everybody.
So I want to move to talking to some of the survey respondents. We selected a few that agreed to join a panel and allow us to ask some deeper questions that our survey did not ask. Before we get into that, I'm going to have Kalisha Smith, our program coordinator, kind of explain what we do at Increase CEC. That kind of explains the increase in business survival. So I'm going to have you come up. Shaka Vindy, our AmeriCorps Vista will explain, come on up, will explain how the survey was conducted, and we will bring the survey respondents up for a brief panel discussion. So as they're explaining, panelists, you can go ahead and take your seats up in front.
Well, good evening. My name is Kalisha Smith, and I am the program coordinator at Increase CEC. Just a little bit about our programs is we have started this year 2 prerequisites to the Micro Enterprise Training Program, which helps entrepreneurs more prepare for the 8-week course. The Entrepreneur Assessment Workshop and Business Model Builder helps our clients to discover their entrepreneur type. Also, they put the big picture of their idea onto paper, which creates the business model canvas. Now, prior to this, our clients didn't even know what a business model canvas was. And then they also were not discovering their E-type, which helps them to pick the right business that fits their personality. And so we also offer funding from $500 up to $15,000. We have TA, technical assistance, which is one-on-one for our clients with our instructors and consultants. We've also added a new workshop this year called E101, which is for the youth, ages 16 to 24. With this workshop, our youth learn how to prepare for entrepreneurship and how to start a business. We work right now with Eckerd and Impact. And we also plan to add a E101 for Kids workshop because it's never too early to get our children learning about starting a business and becoming an entrepreneur and having them pursue that dream. And that's what we want to instill into them. So we look forward to developing that more and increasing that program next summer for 2019. So if you or anyone you know are looking to write a business plan or need coaching or need business management tools, you please refer them to us, or funding. You can refer them to us. We appreciate all referrals. Right now, I'll pass it over to Shaka, who will talk about his experience through gathering the data.
Hi everyone, my name is Shaka Bello. I'm originally from Ghana, and as Ms. Smith mentioned, I'm here to speak on the data collection process. Dr. Agus and Mrs. Barnett already mentioned some aspects of that, so I will just add a little bit of information, which is besides making calls and emails, there were instances where I had to drive to some local businesses in the community to administer hard copies of the survey. So I just want to thank Increase CDC for giving me this opportunity through the AmeriCorps Vista program to serve, to learn, and to connect with the community. Thank you very much.
So our panel discussion will be led by Mr. Turner of Crane R&D. We will ask the panelists a few questions, and then we'll open up the floor for additional questions. Mr. Turner, give a round of applause.
Hello everyone, my name is Johnny Turner. I want to quickly say that Shaka, I think, was being a little bashful. Mr. Bella, as well as Ms. Barnett, Ms. Smith, and Increase did a really good job of making real-time adjustments to get the whole project done. And so I wanted to put that out there because I think another gentleman had mentioned that really the importance of how organizations in the community need to be agile in their right of working with people. And so there was a lot of monkey wrenches that came out throughout the process. So from building up the questions to changing up the project management plan, and like I said, just all of the individuals at Increase being willing to make it happen. I hope that they will get recognized for that. Before I get into it real quick, I used to work for a gentleman, and one of the things he used to always say is that I signed in front of the checks. And he would always say it in moments when it was disagreement about how we were to move forward. And I didn't necessarily like when he said it, but I started thinking about it more and more and what it meant. And what it really meant was that you just think about your lights and your utilities at home. I think about it at home and at work. You know, you have a choice to do something different. This is my passion, and this is what I do. And so some of the questions that we initially had, it was Shaka and Ms. Barnett that really knew not only the past Increase clients, but the larger micro enterprise ecosystem. And so we had to shade back some questions, but some we'll give you tonight. So just really quickly, if you can introduce yourself really quickly, the name of your business and what you do very briefly, and then we'll get back right to the questions.
My name is Torrey Moss, CEO of Moss the Boss Ribs and Sauce. I have I produce specialty sauces and rubs and barbecue products and things like that. Currently have a sauce on the market, and I'm an alumni for Increase CDC with the classes that they took. So, that's it. All right.
How you doing? My name is Michael McKeeba. I'm with Healthy Connections, developmental disabilities specialty, excuse me. I work with individuals with developmental disabilities, help them find jobs, help them with home care, anything that has to do with their waiver, which is provided by the state. I provide ancillary programs for them. Right now, I run a summer camp for my individuals with disabilities, and we're looking to grow into a lot of many things that we're working on at this time. I am an alumnus with Increase CDC. I want to thank my mentor here for bringing me in, trusted I could get through it for him, and that's it.
I'm Destiny Ward, owner of the Brow Teak. I specialize in brow shaping. We create customized shapes for each client based on personality and character. Also, I'm an instructor. I teach all over the world, and I also teach here at my studio as well. And I also participated in the Increase program on how to create a business plan.
Hello everyone, my name is Shanice Wise, and I am a personal and business development coach, founder of the Unstoppable Community, which is a community of over 1,800 members, business owners, entrepreneurs that are looking to grow and develop, and CEO of Wise Armstrong and Associates. So I work with business owners who have been in business for about 3 years or more that are looking to up-level their profits.
Quick round for him. So let's start with you, Ms. Wise. If you can kind of think generally, what type of general information you know now you wish you would have known earlier, what would that be? And please share with those of us that are here. What kind of general information that you know now that you wish you would have known a little bit earlier?
I would say the biggest thing is having clarity on who my ideal clients were and who they are now, because everyone's not your client. I would say that's the biggest thing, and being strategic in having the right marketing strategies, branding strategies, and selling strategies in regards to connecting with them. A lot of times, at least a lot of my clients, they're very unclear on who their ideal clients are, which causes them to leave a lot of money on the table. So I would say that's the biggest thing for me early on, not being really, really clear and not having anyone there to help me.
Speaking of help, Ms. Ward, what or who has helped you the most in your entrepreneurial journey, besides your daughter? I saw her hand go up.
So there's, well, I guess like 3 people in particular I want to mention. My parents, first off, really helped me in this process. Just, you know, because they believe in my vision. So when there's those times where I just want to give up, or I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, they know the right words to say, or you know, they just have a lot of wisdom, so they keep me pushing. Then secondly is my clients. You know, I really value my customers a lot. Because of them, I'm able to pursue my dreams at my fullest potential. Anything that I desire to do, my clients support that. And because of them, I'm grateful. So I do value my customers, because every time they come through my front doors and use their money with my company, that's, you know, I'm able to put my daughter through private school, or I'm able to take time off to be with her, or travel and continue to teach. I'm able to do all of those things when people patronize in my business.
And we want to acknowledge you as being important too. We know that you're a great helper, so I didn't want to cut you off. Mr. Moss, what has been the single most challenging thing about running your business? What has been that thing, and please explain.
You know, when I answered that question, man, I had a list of challenging things. You know, honestly, I think it's the fact that I had the attitude that because you start your own business, that it's going to be smooth selling, and it won't be, you know, I'm gonna be a billionaire. You know, you never really realize that the challenge that I face, man, is keeping up with numbers. Like knowing those numbers, like exactly down what's what I mean, and being more serious, being more diligent about keeping numbers, because in my experience, even though even when I don't make a whole lot of money, I still might owe out money. And if I'm not paying attention to that stuff, that is a huge challenge for me. There are other challenges, of course, but that's a huge challenge. And then the fact that, like he was doing it a minute ago when he was doing the presentation, I work a full-time job still too. So it's whether or not I really want this to be a thriving business, or do I want to keep it as hobby status. So not being able to put the kind of hours I want to put in is challenging too. So I mean, I can go on and on. Let me be clear. I don't want to make it sound like I don't enjoy what I do, but that's not the case at all. It's just there are more challenges to it than you might. In other words, I guess weighing the pros and cons a little bit better is something I could have done, a little bit more thorough to see, that it's just not going to be about making money. It's going to be a lot of hard work involved. So I'm getting a little bit better at it as we go.
So let's follow up on that question, because I think Dr. Argus and I think Mr. Reddick had spoken, Dr. Argus displayed, Mr. Reddick has spoken about like the importance of being on top of your finances.
Yeah.
And so you manage your own finances?
Yeah.
What tools do you use?
I got an Excel spreadsheet I use, and that thing is only as good as what you put in it. I'm just being honest. And, I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I'm this perfect. I'm just being honest with you. Like if I don't I'll be like, yeah, I'll put it in later. Before I know it, like, did you put that in there?
Right.
I don't know. Get up. And so yeah, so I'm just honestly Excel spreadsheet right now. I do have some other programs that people have introduced me into, but have not implemented them. Just once again, I'll get to it later. Honestly.
You want to say something, Dr. Argus?
I did. So something you all will see as you go through the study, over 75%, I got to put Jack on that. Over 75%, of small business owners, micro enterprises and larger size business, still qualifying as small, do their own finances, right? Only 18% hire a firm or have someone external to come help out. So the difference between that extra little percent that's hanging off, maybe it's a business partner, they're better with numbers, they're going to take care of that. Right. Or a spouse, may jump in and do some of those things. And again, maybe you have a spouse that also has a tax service. They know what they're doing. Maybe they're a CPA, maybe CFP, maybe they know what's happening. I don't know. We ain't get into the weeds, like I said. But that ends up being a pretty meaningful thing when you consider, I need to make this work. And, there's this thrust that you see in the comments that people make. And I'd be real curious to hear what you all think about it. Is it more important to save money by doing something yourself than to spend it?
Yeah, because you're not really saving it in the end. I'm with you.
And I can answer, no. Hire an effective partner and get the right numbers.
I'd have to coach on the answer again. Once again, I said there's a lot of challenges. One of them is, I don't have a lot of money, so what do I use for, I would love to hire a team of people. Everybody can want to but they don't want to work for free. They're like, man, I can't do it for free. Call me when you get your money together, So I agree with you 100% though. Yeah.
And I acknowledge your challenge too.
There are actually, you can contact the colleges, because my son was part of financial literacy at the Ohio State University, and they were looking for businesses to help do their finances. So when we first started, because at first I was like, Jesus, I need you to help me understand where this goes. Right. And then it just, I happened to come across someone, and they put our financial system in place for almost 2 years, and now 12 years out, we still use it because it's effective.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mark.
Mr. McKeever, did you have a question for this?
No, I was just going to say that I'm sort of doing both. I'm doing it myself, but I have a tax person that will do my taxes. I'm not touching taxes at all, and that's the first thing for my. So she's also a financial person, so I need to get her to do things.
Mr. McKeever.
Yes.
Met this gentleman a couple of years ago. To his credit, the same dignity that he walks with today is what I saw a couple of years ago. As a compliment to him. I know that he's grown, but just the demeanor in which he carries himself was the same thing that I saw a couple of
Okay, all right.
So, what has been one of your biggest mistakes or miscalculations in running your business? What was it, and what did you learn?
Okay, so you were asking me this question, and I get it, okay, because the funny thing is, a lot of people know, I'm a realist. I don't sugarcoat. Right. I just don't have time because I'm an entrepreneur. Right. And my days are long. I'm working right now. Okay, so, even to ask a question like that, can you ask it again? Because, because what I want to do is make sure that I'm accurate in telling people how things work when you have your own business.
Okay. What has been one of your biggest mistakes or miscalculations in running your business? What was it? Please explain.
Not trusting somebody because it's my baby. This is my baby. I can't trust nobody to get it right but me. I can't handle anything out, give orders or whatever to say, well, this is how it goes because it's my vision. And it's very difficult to bring a team of people that want to, like you said, not getting paid as much as you are, doing things like that, to understand your vision. Okay? So once you can get a team to say, hey, I understand where you're going or what you're going to do and believe in what you're doing, you got to give something. You're going to have to give a little bit of trust. You're going to have to find the backbone to let it go and say, listen, I got to have this guy in here. I know he can do finances. I heard about it, but I don't know. That dude from D.C. You know what I'm saying? But if I didn't have him on my team, I would not be where I'm at. So I had to relinquish some of the trust. Okay. One other thing I had to do is, once again, just swallow my pride a little bit more. I work with people, and I'm very compassionate to a lot of things, and some of the things that, how I kind of grew up in my demeanor and things like that, I had to have this status or what have you. But I got to be a point, I had to be a little bit more humble, especially with the okay. And
Ms. Wise, I'm sorry, I mean.
No, you're fine.
Ms. Wise, what's the most rewarding?
Can I say something? I got to go back to, I had to write this down to what this brother right here, what he was saying. You'll never have if you don't jump and do it. You have to shift your mindset. And for every entrepreneur, every business owner, you need a board of directors. You need a lawyer.
That's right.
You need an accountant. You need a tax advisor. So nothing will change for you if you don't go ahead and jump and do it.
And I ain't about to argue with you at all.
Because honestly, especially you're in the food industry, you need a lawyer on your team.
That's right.
And you need an accountant. And the Excel spreadsheet will only take you so far.
Don't I know it?
So, because I've been there.
Yes, I don't dispute what you're saying at all.
And and you also need a business coach. So what I do for my clients, I tell all of them, you need a board of directors. This is what you need. This is who you need. And then we create a strategy for them to get it. You know what I mean? So they can make the type of money that they need in order to pay it. So once you jump out and go for it and say, okay, I'm going to invest in an accountant, then you're going to get to work and you're going to make it happen. You know what I mean? So it's all about shifting your mindset. So the Excel spreadsheet, it has to go. But honestly, in order for you to expand, and that's what I see with a lot of new business owners, is it's like a gap in between. You have a business plan, you got all this together, but then how do I put it in action? How do I take that next step? So that's really important. You got to get rid of that Excel spreadsheet. And it's not about how much money you have now. It's about how much money you want to make. And you got to be willing to go get it.
Yeah, I was going to add to that. So what I've learned later on in business is that time is money. So that was the main thing that I've been learning. I don't have time to do certain things. So if I'm spending my time here doing this, I could be at the salon making this, amount of money. I had to weigh it out. So how much money am I missing out doing all this tedious stuff? But I could just hire someone that can do it a lot faster than me, that's more proficient at it, is going to do it right, and when I could be at work making more money, because I had to hire an accountant. I was doing my finances for 4.5 years. Got me nowhere, to be honest. You handled it on my own. It piled up, it racked up, so I got me an accountant, which doesn't really cost that much. She handles all of my finances that's related to the business, you know, for a certain amount of dollars a month. I pay her monthly, and she does everything. I call her, someone send me a letter about something, send her, she fix it, and I get back to work making money, where it normally would have took me 3 hours to figure it out, you know, where now I can make more money at work now, and now she's handling it for me. I had to learn that the hard way.
And if I could just, you know, capitalize on that, go back to your resources. Always go back to your resources. You got here somehow, okay? So if you're having a stagnant problem or there's something that you're missing or whatever, go back to the resources and always ask the question, what do I need to do next? Don't be afraid to go back. You're not starting over, you're just going where you left off. Okay, I got this far. By the way, here's where I'm at. What do I do next? Do you know where I go to get this? Okay? One of my biggest things, and I believe this, and I'll tell anybody that has their own business, never take no for an answer. Never. If somebody tells you no, that's fine. Okay? But also ask them, well, why are you telling me no? Why not? Because it could be the smallest thing, your loan, they didn't want to buy your product, whatever. It could have been the smallest thing. I lost a loan because they told me no. Lost a loan. The reason why, I didn't ask them for 3 months. Well, why did I lose the loan? Well, I asked them 3 months later and said, well, you did an initial hearing. 3 months I missed the loan. Because I didn't ask them why. They told me no, and I didn't ask why. Always get a yes before you walk out. Anybody you talk to, anything you deal with, or somebody telling you no. Do you understand? Do you kind of understand me? So even if you're selling a product, hey, you know, I'm selling this, but why didn't you like it? Because there's a reason why they chose not to. Was it too expensive? The color wasn't right? Whatever. So you can go back to the drawing board, fix what's broken, and then move forward. Okay? So don't ever be afraid to go back to your resource. And the reason why I really have been successful is because I came back to Increase CDC. Wasn't like I graduated and said, well, I'm out. I'm going to do this on my own. No, I came back to the resource. And I said, well, what do I do next? And they said, okay, Mike, well, you go here. Okay, well, what do you do next? Well, you go talk to him. Well, what do you do next? Go back and talk to her. Okay, now I'm doing pretty damn good. But my resources were right in front of my face. So don't ever go from one step and say, I'm done with this. Keep those people in your pocket. Okay? Build those relationships, keep going, because it's information that you can never, ever, ever get, maybe never get again. So you want to make sure you stay, you know, definitely in the Increase CDC family. You want to come back and get the best resources that you can so you can move forward. I'm very sorry.
If I could give you a mic so you could jump in. Last quick question. Each of you, please take less than a minute to answer.
Mm-hmm.
But
20 seconds.
How much?
20
seconds.
No, maybe not.
Oh, okay.
Start with Mr. Moss moving down.
What is, I mean, that was a perfect segue. What is your way forward? What is your own particular way forward?
Just kind of what people were just talking about. I am in touch with some people right now through Increase CDC, through Key with some crowdfunding. I got some things in place. By the way, I do appreciate your input. So moving forward, I do plan to switch over and be doing my job, doing my business full time. But I'm putting a plan in place to make it happen instead of just walking in there and saying, I quit, I'm going. Which is what I love to do, but I didn't hit the lottery yet. So, but yeah, that's my plan moving forward. Y'all see me.
And no more Excel spreadsheets.
I don't look at it enough anyway. I'm staying on it. It's sorry to get rid of it.
What I'm actually doing, like I said, what this gentleman is doing, I came back to Increasing CDC to look for their assistance in building a new project with our special needs individuals. What we'll be doing is we will be having a vocational training center that will actually be running a restaurant that will teach individuals food service. So while the restaurant is, making revenue and building, I'm going to actually be creating jobs, training for jobs, and doing job placement at the same time. And Increase CDC is going to be a very big part of helping that.
Ms. Ward?
My way forward would be having more access to information easier. It's like a lot of things with the business I had to learn as I go, and every time I make a mistake, even though that was an opportunity for me to improve from that mistake or learn from it, it costs me in some type of way. So I would just like to have, you know, more access to information. And as a micro enterprise, I want, well, part of having having more access to information is because everybody, when you start a business, businesses come at you and everybody wants a piece of your money. Everybody wants some. Everybody, you know, and because of lack of knowledge, you know, you sometimes utilize all these people that's, you know, trying to get a piece of the pie. And if you had the information, you probably would have known which direction to go and would have told those people, no, I'm not interested, and hang up on them. So that's for me.
Finally, Ms. Wise?
For me, I have clients and companies that I work with all over the United States, so Nexus International.
So let's give one more hand for our lovely panel. Thank you for being candid, and I'll pass it back to Ms. Barnett.
All right, panelists, thank you so much for your time. And so in our last minutes here, I just want to, where's the clicker? Oh, okay. I want to discuss some ways that, there are many ways that we can be moving forward. I want to discuss from Increase CDC what we plan to do to move forward for these businesses and how you can support those initiatives. So the first way forward is improving the business plan development process. So we attribute the increase in our clients' year 1 and year 2 survival to the changes we made to our programming. We now spend an additional 10 hours with our clients compared to 5 years ago, resulting in like 35 to 40 hours per client within a 3-month period. So improving the business plan development process. The second way forward is realigning business coaching strategies to be more industry specific. So we have generalized training that we can apply to our clients' businesses. But this summer we noticed there were holes in our market research process, and we connected with our partners at IBIS World. Are we all familiar with IBIS World, the nationally recognized industry research provider? And we let them know that, you know, this information is great, but our clients really need to be able to understand where they are, because certain industries in Ohio don't perform as well as other states. So we connected with them, and they provided us with more localized information for our clients to be better prepared to compete in the local marketplace. So that's something that we will be incorporating in our one-on-one sessions by providing them industry-specific information. Another way forward, and this is in general, not necessarily just for Increase CDC, but anyone interested in supporting businesses or micro businesses, would be increasing more opportunities from more IT startups in Central Ohio. From our report from today, only 4% had an IT business, which is significantly less than the 25% state average as spoken by the Small Business Administration here in Ohio. We've already kind of started working with this initiative by working with IT Stars to offer our alumni digital literacy training, to expose them to new technology, and to encourage integration into their business models. Another way forward is increasing youth entrepreneurship training. The average age of our survey respondent was in their mid-40s. It's important to prepare our next generation to lead the entrepreneur endeavors. So in addition to our current programs at Equity Workforce Development and Impact Community Action, we're going to continue to develop youth entrepreneurship training. And one of those efforts is with Starfish Alliance. This upcoming school year, we'll be working with some of the schools in Northeast Columbus, the high schools, to offer youth entrepreneurship workshops. And then another way forward, the last way forward we'll present tonight is increasing the capacity of microenterprises by preparing them to hire employees. Because microenterprises make up such a large portion of the business in our country, they are the major source of new jobs needed to continue reducing our unemployment rates. Not so much big businesses, which we've been focused on, bringing corporations and having them create the jobs. Micro businesses have that ability to make just the same amount, if not more jobs, if we focused our efforts on preparing them to do so. We want to empower microenterprises to grow and hire at the right time by giving them the tools and the resources to do just that. And so I want to introduce a couple new initiatives that will bring together all of those ways forward and how you can participate. One of our new ways forward, or one of our new initiatives, is the Hire One initiative. This initiative was created to provide the resources needed for our local businesses to hire at least one additional employee within the next 2 years. Through increased training in business financial literacy, operational management, employee recruitment and retention, as well as connecting them with working capital, we plan to help create at least 500 local jobs by 2020 through the Hire One initiative. And then another initiative, although we didn't give deep information on the challenges of women-owned businesses, the data is there, but we didn't highlight that today. We still want to place an emphasis on women-owned businesses in some of the ways forward presented tonight. And this includes hiring, use of technology, access to capital, and more. So our first effort is a small business women's conference in September to highlight these areas. And we will be at Creekside Conference Center in Gahanna, bringing in different guest speakers, successful female entrepreneurs, to help touch on some of these areas. We presented this information tonight because we want you to join us in leading the way forward for microenterprises in Central Ohio. To our government officials, to our corporations, to our community agencies, we ask that you support these methods through sponsorships, donations, in-kind donations, and public relations. And then to our local entrepreneurs, we ask that you make a commitment to working on growing your business with just committing a few hours of training, committing a few hours of consulting, working with a coach so that you can work on your business. It takes a community to build a community. So before you leave today, we want you to stop by our table. And if there is any initiative that you want to support or you want to participate in as a small business owner, we want you to just mark that by your name. You should have wrote your name when you came in so that we can connect with you and implement these new initiatives. So the areas of interest you can put by your name would be the business plan development, which is our current microenterprise training program, coaching and consulting. We have coaches and consultants in our office, but there are many other coaches and consultants that we like to connect people to. So we want to know if you need that or if you want to be a provider of that. IT startup. So as we look to integrate new ways of technology into our business, we want to know who can help with that and who is interested in that. Youth entrepreneurship. One of the efforts that Starfish Alliance is meeting is volunteers to go in and mentor the youth in addition to teaching them. So volunteers for youth entrepreneurship, or if you have a child that you want to receive that type of training, let us know. And then Hire One initiative. If you want to expand your business by way of creating and committing to hiring one within the next 2 years, let us know. Or if you have resources to help connect these entrepreneurs and to help them grow, to prepare them to hire one, we need to know that, okay? particular project. I want to thank Credit R&D for the awesome work. Give them a round of applause. Thank you for Roll Forward CFO Anthony Reddick and our board president for supporting this event. And the rest of the Increase CDC staff. Welcome to hang out, ask some questions. I know there are some lingering questions, but I see we are coming upon our time. We want to make sure that we do give this information to you. So we'll be emailing the report to those who registered. It will be available, and we will be using this report to further develop the different programs and initiatives that we have placed here. Other agencies now will have access to this, so if it's going to help you do perform and implement your initiatives, use it. Okay? So thank you so much, and we appreciate your time.